Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I have a guest on from the LaGrange Housing Authority, so stay tuned for that interview coming up in just a moment. Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Ms. Zsa Hurd, the Executive Director for the LaGrange Housing Authority. Zsa, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Well, you know, it has been a little bit of time since I've had you on. I think I've had some of your staff members on the show. I wanted to give you an opportunity to get down in your new position and kind of get your feet wet and get everything kind of rolling. And man, you hit the ground running.
Yeah, I feel like it.
You feel like hit the ground running.
Yes.
Zsa, tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, I'm Zsa Hurd, born and raised in LaGrange, Georgia. Been here all my life. I moved away, but I went to high school here at True Pie. Okay. And then we moved away and we came back, and I've been here ever since. Ever since.
Homegrown girl like myself, and a graduate of True Pie.
Yes,
absolutely.
I love it.
There you go, True Tigers.
Yes.
Well, look, Zsa, now you've been there as the executive director almost 3 years now. Well, 3 years.
3 years.
Talk a little bit about that experience at this point.
Well, it's been a challenge. It's been challenging. Understanding people is not a challenge because that's some of my background in social work and psychology and counseling. So understanding people is the easy part, but understanding how to get the people to move to a different type of mindset, that's been challenging. It's been a challenge to see the community and how the community unfolds, and how if we start something, it turns into such a negative thing sometimes, you know, and that becomes sometimes hurtful because I'm thinking the people want change in the community, but then if we sometimes do a program, we hear so much negative feedback, but I think that just comes with the territory. Absolutely. Learning the staff, you know, was challenging, but I think now we have some really good staff that are on board and they're getting, but I think that took some time to get your staff trained, properly trained and understanding. And then my vision, they had to see what Zsa wanted to do. So once they took that on, we have a great staff, we're rolling. So that's been the biggest part. Yes.
And you know, you said, I mean, to see your vision, because the Housing Authority has been here in our community for a number of years. And, you know, for those of us that have gone through there, visited people there, you know, whatever, it kind of always seemed like it was the same, and pretty much, with the residency changing, but, you know, very, as far as, you know, like anything happening in and around it stayed pretty much the same. Yeah. So speak to that a little bit, if you don't mind, because you talked about your vision. Talk a little bit about your vision.
Well, what my vision is to empower people. I mean, I told you I've had this thing of empowering people since I was a little girl, from what they tell me, around 10 or 12. So that's been something, and I always was one pushing people to do things. We got to do it or we can do it. So I think when I came in, my vision had to be set that I got to change the mindset of the people. If I don't change the mindset, I think we don't ever win the race of what public housing was intended for and what we should be utilizing it for. So coming in, putting in different programs, engaging the people, getting to know the residents and their needs and their desires. And not all of our residents are just not wanting to just be there. Some work, a lot of them work, a lot of them are back in school, but we do have some that sometimes we have to give a little nudge to, but that's some of the things that we've thought about. When we need that, we'll put a program in place and changing that mindset altogether, because we have a different population of people than they had 20 years ago, where I talked to some of the older residents and they said, well, Zsa, we didn't have any of these issues. The Housing Authority was ran really well. We were good neighbors, we looked out for each other, we didn't have any fighting, we didn't have any crime, everything was good in the Housing Authority.
And you know, it's so important you're saying some of them, you know, just don't fit in with your vision. So you have to kind of weed those individuals out and you put in place or kind of invigorated those programs. Talk a little bit about some of the programs that you all offer there, if you don't mind.
Well, the one program that we're really, really proud of, we got a national award for, is our life skills classes, but we call it a leadership academy because we want them to be leaders and we don't want them to feel like it's another class that they have to sit in. But those classes entail anything from anger management, self-esteem, healthy living, healthy lifestyles, CPR, first aid, job training classes. They also get to do a public service project, because I think that since this is public housing and somebody is paying for you to live there, I think you have to give back too. we have to give back. We just can't take and never give anything back on that end. So we're trying to, like you said, invigorate them so that they go to the next level of their lives, so that they can see it. Some have gone off to school, they've had job training, and we want them to see that they are standing on a platform to go up and not a handout. We're trying to change that. This is not a handout, and it's not forever, and nothing in life is free.
That's right.
Nothing. I don't care how much we talk about, well, I'll do this for free. Nothing is free, because at the end of the day, somebody paid for it on the other end for you to get it for free.
There you go.
So we want to show those types of programs that really can reach out to any of our residents. And we have an absolutely great after-school program for our children that we want to make sure we're capturing them in school. They're not failing. Our school system may have a low graduation rate, but we certainly don't want our kids to be affecting that. So we partner with the school system. So they come after school to our programs. We invest in retired teachers that are certified, because we want them to have high quality of standards and not just somebody coming to volunteer and read to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many wonderful things going on there, Jaja, and just listening to, the people ought to be, energized by just listening to you speak about how you're trying to transform their lives, if I may borrow that term from LaGrange College, to transform their lives, to understand that they, as you stated, you have a platform that you can elevate you to higher standards in life,
Yeah.
You're talking about the empowering the people and our young people there. And I wanted to have you on last summer. You and the staff that did a remarkable job. I think there were some young men, young boys that came to you and told you their story about how they had been approached, and you guys put them to work.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Well, that was exciting for us, because like I said, they had been asking me weeks about having a job, but I just thought they just wanted a job to make money. But I noticed that now that I look back, they had followed me to my car a few days going home. They left me a note, and I just dropped it in my purse, and they had wrote on that note, we need a job to stay out of gangs.
Oh my.
So I asked them to meet me over to the William Griggs Recreation Center one day, the rec, and they did. They were there early. And so I said, y'all really want to work? They said, yes, ma'am. I said, well, let me look at the budget and see if we have some monies. So meet me back tomorrow at 10. They were there like at 9:30 waiting. And finally, when they came into my office, it was like, I finally sat down and I said, are y'all really being approached about being in gangs? And they kind of looked away at each other. And I said, well, tell me the truth. And they said, yes, ma'am. We're asked all the time. And I said, wait, but you're only 12, 13, and 14 years old. That's impossible. They said, no, ma'am, we're asked to be in gangs all the time, and we need to work. So I just stopped everything I was doing and called my maintenance person, Mr. Ernest Pickett, and I said, we got to put them to work. And it can't be a Band-Aid fix. They need some skills that can last them a lifetime, they can put on a resume, that they're learning, so it becomes an interest to them, so that they won't feel, once they stop working and go back to school, the gangs approach them again and they may want to go back. So we put them to work, and it turned into, and they did well. They built tables, they learned maintenance skills, they learned delivery systems, they learned how things actually work. So we just put them to work, and it really worked out for them. Now, they still have, like many boys and girls, behavioral problems.
That's right.
But we wanted to work on those in the meantime to encourage them. Their schools would call us, and they would utilize us to get them back in line, and we were able to do that. So we were able to put them on the basketball team, to play AAU ball, to exert some of that energy. We tried to find a lot of the things that they liked, but even again, if they're not with us all the time, they still are faced with the peer pressure and things like that. But they're coming along, and they're working again this summer.
Very good. That's an awesome story, and it was featured on Fox 5 News.
Yes, several stations, yes.
Right. So, hats off to you and your staff for what you're doing to work with our young people. And I know that one of the things that you all had to going on is the community garden. So I hope they got a chance to work.
Oh yeah, they got a chance to work in it. They love the chickens. So now the chickens are large enough, they're laying eggs.
Okay.
So we get eggs, and we have a ton of fresh eggs that we have. Okay. So they figured out how to give them to the elderly residents or anybody in the community who wants, because we don't want them to go to waste.
Right.
The garden is flourishing. We have cucumbers, tomatoes, we have eggplants, we have blackberries, we have blueberries, our apples are blooming, we have peppers. We have a hoop house too as well. We applied for a grant for a hoop house. So we have a hoop house, we have watermelon, cantaloupes, everything. And the kids are working in the garden, and they absolutely love it. And the residents love it. They love it.
And you know what? You and I were talking before we came on. We're both from the country, so we probably know a little bit about gardening.
Yes.
And to be able to farm the land and from the land to the table, it is so much more fresh.
It is. It is. And the residents actually come and they've picked them and they've separated the vegetables out and just tell you to pick up a bag of it to take home. And something that I didn't realize. See, I lived out in the county where we were used to gardens. So to have one in the city was a big deal because they don't have a lot of infrastructure to put a garden. So when we were able to do that, I think that changed the scope because a lot of them, they're not used to gardening like I was.
That's right.
So we really, really love the fact that we can teach them healthy living.
Absolutely, and it's so important. And to be able to go back to the land to farm what you need and to the table.
Yes.
Again, you don't have all those nutrients, additives, things, and various things of that nature. John, as we get ready to close out, you guys have so much, and I need more time with you, just to be quite honest with you. Talk a little bit about the rebranding of the housing authority, because like you stated a moment ago, so many times when you start a program, people always want to associate it with the negativity. Talk about your vision of rebranding the housing authority.
I think it had to be looked at a different light. Even though we're public housing, that's what we are, but it doesn't have to get the negative names like the bricks, the white folks project, the black folks project, because then it separates our community. So we thought about how do we rebrand this housing authority and just make sure we use the right terms when we're speaking about it to get everybody else used to saying housing authority or a park, because it's just an apartment complex, it's just public housing where it's subsidized by the taxpayers' monies. So we spent time in changing the logo, changing the mission statement, the vision statement, the value statement of it. And now we're endeavoring to changing the street names because we did a little survey and we found out when people hear say Barton Street, it's associated with negativity. Even asking the police department, when they hear Barton Street, they think trouble. They think something is going to happen. So we thought if we rebranded and changed the way it's looked at, changed the way the community views it, and when people say projects, we correct them, was the housing authority. To get them used to saying, and we definitely teach our residents and kids, this is not a project. This is where you live. This is your home. No different than mine. Yours just happen to be located on Whitesell Road. I just happen to live on a different street. So we are taking our time and rebranding everything about it, from how you enter the office. You can't wear those head bonnets. You got to be dressed appropriately when you come into the office. The staff, making sure we have customer service that is just phenomenal, because we want you to feel welcome. We don't want you to feel not welcome. Engaging the pizza services, because they wouldn't deliver to the housing authorities. So we want you to deliver to us. If you want our business, deliver to us. So if we rebranded and we got a protective services director who watches our crime rate has been lowered. I mean, he texted me this morning to say we didn't have not one call over the weekend holiday, which is phenomenal for us. Our crime has decreased. So we want to endeavor in changing the property's name as well. We want to do that where we change that from Benjamin Harvey Hill to a different name as well, and Lucy Morgan. So you see it differently and it feels different.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to tell you, like I said, I need more time with you because you have so many wonderful things going on, and I know that the city is behind you by, in supporting you all, and we just wish you the very best. And to get a chance to talk about the grant application, but I do want to get you back on, Jaja, to kind of talk a little bit more about some of the things that you got going on and how the community can get involved. Because when you get the community involved to helping the residents, then we, as you stated, the community becomes stronger as well.
And we always need volunteers. People will say, how can we help? Send volunteers over to help with the children.
Give me your contact information, Jaja, as we close out, if you don't mind.
Yes, you can email me anytime at zherd@phalagrange.net, or anytime. Anybody's free to welcome in my office any day of the week. My phone number is 706-882-6416. My extension is 521, but I have an open door policy. Come in and ask questions anytime you like.
All right. Well, Jaja, the great things that are happening there, we're all excited about it. And like I say, anything that we can do to help you continue to move your vision forward, by all means, let us know. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week in just a moment.
Nobody wants to be stopped by a law enforcement officer.
Everyone wants to feel safe.
So we've trained our officers to first listen and then explain.
We ask if you have contact with one of our officers, you listen, give him an opportunity to explain, comply with his requests, and if there's a problem, contact us so that we can investigate your complaint.
Listen, explain, comply, then complain.
Our safety and yours matters.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. John, we were talking a moment ago about rebranding the Housing Authority, and I know that recently you all made application for some grant fundings. Talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yes, Lucy Morgan, which will be our first project, first construction project, which is a complete renovation, but we start off with 85 units. When you apply for 4% tax credits or 9% tax credits, they never allow you to do the whole, like 138 at one time. You have to do it in sections. So the first 85 units will start, and we're going to do a complete renovation on that property. And 4% doesn't give you the maximum amount of money to do new construction where we would take the buildings down, but we are going to remove some of the buildings to not have all that density in there. So we're going to remove some. So the bids for them is July 10th, they're due. So once the bids are in and we've picked the subcontractors, we'll start construction. We've already closed our waiting list, so those units there, those people in those units will be transferred to Ben Hill, and they'll live there until we're done with the units. Probably doing 30 at a time, but those first 85 will be in that phase where you'll see a significant difference in them. We have the architect drawings and everything. We know what's going to go in the units, the different doors, the different lightings and things like that. So we're hoping to be starting construction right in August and hopefully close out before the new year.
Okay, very good. And that's starting over on the Lucy Morgan side. And total transformation, and you say you have plans. Can the public come out and view these plans?
Oh, yeah.
Because and the reason why I ask that, so many times I get calls down at City Hall and say, well, the Housing Authority, and I have to tell them the city doesn't regulate the Housing Authority, but I give them your name and number. So can they come by your office and take a look at them?
They can take a look at them, they can see them, and that's why we have to post everything. We have to have postings or public hearings, so that if you want to come, if you have concerns, you can come over, you can ask questions. But if they want to see, they're welcome to see. I think sometimes we put some things on Facebook, but sometimes when we put it on Facebook, it's been turned into something else.
Absolutely.
So, and then if our plans change, because they can change, where we may have to take this certain wall out because something didn't fit right in the construction, so that may change it a little bit. But they're welcome to see what we've been doing, the plans, because we're now picking out the light fixtures. So if they want to see what type light fixtures we're picking out, they can come see what type we're picking out to put into the units.
Absolutely.
If they would like to. And the residents had an opportunity to give their feedback and tell us what they liked and didn't like. So we had meetings with them, so they were able to put in the things that they would like to see. And we took all those things into consideration and we gave them to the actual construction company.
Absolutely. Because I know that the Housing Authority underwent some reconstruction some years ago. I'm not quite sure. They went in and did some things, but you're talking about transforming, just having people to feel, a difference about where they live. Right. And, to have a fresh paint, a coat of paint on the wall sometimes just kind of helps to raise a person's self-esteem.
It does. I mean, I've studied housing. Housing, depending on where we live, it actually can decrease high blood pressure, diabetes, because if you feel good in your home, you feel good about yourself, because that becomes our safe haven, because we spend a lot of time there.
That's right.
So for us, we wanted to change the floor. I told you my best friend lived there, in the flooring, I remember her mom mopping every 30 minutes or sweeping. Those are the floors that I feel like, can we get some floors that they don't have to spend all that time to make their apartment look nice, but can we give them some nice, maybe some wood flooring that doesn't require a lot of work in there, and actually removing the sheetrock instead of painting it and putting up new sheetrock, actually putting an extra bathroom in there. probably every housing in America now has at least 2 bathrooms.
That's right.
And families are bigger now. So giving them 2 bathrooms, that's something that's going to happen at Lucy Morgan. They'll now have 2 bathrooms where we can push out the wall and make the living space a little bigger there. So we want to make sure that they have some of the amenities that anybody else that rents an apartment has, and they'll feel good about it. They're more likely to take care of it and have more pride in it, so it lasts us longer. So we're going to be eco-friendly, energy efficient appliances. All new appliances will go in there. In the units.
Going back to talking about the mindset, the changing of the mindset, and you're talking about when you're happy in your environment, that helps to raise a person's self-esteem. And then they're a more productive worker. They're more apt to come to your programs that you offer. They're more apt to get their kids involved in the after-school programs. So again, you're strengthening that community, and your vision, as you talked about earlier, is taking off and taking flight.
And that's something that we want them to remember, though. We want them to know that we value them. We just don't want to put anything in a unit and think because it's public housing you have to accept it. We want you to have a part in it. If you don't like something, come in and let us know. So we want you to have some say-so in this, because I'm a big proponent of this, and I've said it from the beginning. What good is it to give these people these beautiful doors, but they don't know how to get out the door to go get what their needs are? So we're going to build a beautiful door, but we may keep the same type of behavior inside that home that doesn't change much. So guess what? Our units may not last as long. They may not take care of them. But if we value the people inside the unit, and then we give you something to value, your home, and you look at it like a home, we'll get better results. We want to do. And we also want to mix up that community where they're living, where you're not living next door. You're living next door to somebody that may be in school that inspires you to go to school. You're living next door to somebody that's working, and that may encourage you to become a nurse or a doctor or an engineer, whatever that may be. But it kind of changes that whole setup of, if we continuously put people that live next door to each other and all of us are not working, guess what? It just becomes a domino effect sometimes. But if we are building a community of people that desire and love their community, we think we'll get better results when we're doing that.
Absolutely. You know, so many times we've talked about the mixed income living. And I know that's been one of your things, is to decentralize poverty. To decentralize. And talking about that, let's jump over to Benjamin Harvey Hill, because I know that you all have some plans for that location where you're talking about doing just that. Talk a little bit about that.
Now, Benjamin Harvey Hill, we've put it in to be a complete reconstruction, meaning the buildings will come down. You will see those buildings come down. And the first phase of it will be the first 86 phases, and it's going to be for elderly and disabled. So we're actually going to move them a few feet over on some property that we have, and they're going to have a complete new construction there for elderly and disabled. So we've already found out who those people will be. We'll move them over to those brand new units on 6 acres that we didn't know we had. Once we got some surveys done, we found 6 acres that we're going to create a community of elderly and disabled. What we found, that when it's families and we mix them with elderly and disabled, we don't get a good feel of it. You know, the elderly people are in their ways, the younger people are in their ways, so we'd rather move them to where they can kind of retire and enjoy the quiet community. And they would rather the young people be young, because they understand that they're young, they don't have a problem with it. Then we're also going to take out all those units, and we'll have a linear park that the city has assisted us with, and the Callaway Foundation, to where we're going to move it back off that street to push it back there. So we create this park right in front of the housing authority. So we put that park there. It'll be a park for everybody to come and use in the community, so that we bring people there. We don't want to push people out. We want to bring people to the community. So when you start to see the units go up, they're not these barrack type units that you see go up. They're not stacked, and there's green space in there for the people to live and enjoy and walk, and it's not all of that deconcentrated poverty in there that we've got to change. And we want that whole corridor to really change. So we're trying to create a housing plan to show how we could change that entire corridor with all the new stuff that's coming into LaGrange.
Absolutely. I know that you all have worked, your staff and you have worked, you know, closely with the city, and talking about how you can, you know, put a new face on that corridor there, not just with your area, but like you stated, you know, because there's some properties across the street from you, property down the street. Everything along that corridor could use a little bit of sprucing up. You know, which is going to enhance not only what you're doing, but it's also going to enhance and then be more inviting to the residents and visitors that are going to be coming into our community. You know, at the result, as you stated, with the Great Wolf that's being constructed down south of you.
Yes.
So we look forward to that. And when is those? I know that you all apply for the grant. Tell us about when that grant.
Well,
will
we'll
be.
hear in December
Okay.
where we get the 9% tax credit. It looks really good because we scored. We were like number 3 in the score, and that's
Very
important
good.
to DCA how we scored. So we'll hear in December. So once we hear and get our award,
Okay.
then we'll start moving forward with all the projects, the contracts, and things
Okay.
like that. So that may be starting in 2018, but we'll know in 2017 whether we got the award or not.
Okay, well, very good. We're definitely we're very excited about that. We've been hearing, and assisting with you all on that grant application for a while, so we're very excited about that as well. Now, as we get ready to close out, a little known fact that I just kind of overlooked a moment or so ago, Jaja, when we were talking, I know that the staff came in and said, well, Jaja was a hometown hero. Talk a bit about that. Notified by American Red Cross, right?
Yes. One of my friends, Bakel Fernell, you may know Bakel, she nominated me.
Okay.
And one thing that triggered her was the work with the boys, being able to see that work that had been done, that I just took the chance and said, hey, we got to get these boys situated in something to prevent them from being in gangs. So when I was nominated, I was ecstatic because I thought, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. It shouldn't be, I shouldn't get an award for it as part of my job, but it feels good that somebody is noticing some of the change that's taking place, and it's valuable to them that change is taking place, because she's from LaGrange, so she's familiar with the housing authority, but the fact that it was changed and I gave it to some boys to have them a better chance at life, she told me that just sparked her, and she just had to do the nomination.
Oh, very good. Well, very well deserved, because Jaja, as I stated, we've known each other for quite some time, and you to come in and kind of take the helms of the housing authority and seeing the things that you have been able to get, implemented, and the things that are moving forward. There's only one way it can go, and that's continue to rise up.
Yes.
So you and your staff are to be commended. And again, anything that I can do, and I just apologize for not getting you on earlier to kind of talk about all the things that you all have going on. But I know that you were very busy when you first got there, again, to kind of feel your way through. So I want to thank you for taking time to come on today and sharing all this wonderful information. And again, if there's somebody that's watching, they want to volunteer, they want to know a little bit more about Housing Authority, a little bit more about your vision, give me your contact information one more time if you don't mind.
Well, if you want to come in, please always feel free to come in. I have an open door policy. My phone number is 706-882-6416, and my extension is 521. And the staff know I want to hear from the community, I want to hear from the residents. Tell us what the needs are, what your concerns, what you like, what you don't like. If you have some ideas, we love new ideas because we can't think of all of it. But volunteers, yes, we need them to work with residents. So anytime you like, come and see Ms. Hurd at the LaGrange Housing Authority.
Very fitting. And I know that the phones will ring off the hook.
Well,
and
hopefully they
volunteers will come
will.
on in. And Jaja, thank you once again for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week in just a moment.
Here in Georgia, summertime means school's out, time for vacations and family fun.
It also means warmer temperatures, and the heat inside a closed car can quickly rise to dangerous, even deadly levels.
That's why we're reminding you to always look again and never leave children alone in a vehicle.
Look Again is an important reminder not only for child care providers, but also for parents, grandparents, friends, anyone caring for a child.
When you arrive at your destination, look through your car to make sure everyone is out safely. Then look again.
If you see a child left alone in a vehicle, call 911 immediately. Every minute counts.
Help us spread this important message by visiting our website or following us on Facebook and Twitter. Everyone can play their part. Right, Callie?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining for City Week this week. My guests have been from the LaGrange Housing Authority, the Executive Director, Mrs. Jaja Hurd, as she talked about the many wonderful things that are taking place in and around the Housing Authority. And ladies and gentlemen, by all means, if you have any questions or any suggestions for her, give her a call at the contact number that she gave you. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed this interview. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.